Welcome to the Author Your Life podcast, where you can write a new script for your life and become the hero of your story. I'm your host, David McRae. You are the author of your life. Let's get started.
All you have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to you.
In my experience, there's no such thing as luck.
It is not our abilities that show what we truly are. It is our choices.
Before we launch into the podcast, I'd like to tell you about my book, Author Your Life, Become the Hero of Your Story. This is a book for people who are at a crossroads in life and want to make a fresh start. Judging by the fact that you're listening to this podcast, I suspect that you may well be one of those people. This book is going to help you to change your narrative and rewrite the scripts in life that are holding you back. This book covers the latest science and research showing you how to become the person you want to be and live the life that you want to live. I'd like to invite you to get this book not only because I feel it's a great book that's going to help you, but also it's going to support the podcast as well. I love podcasts, but sometimes all of those ads that you get can be really irrelevant and annoying when you just want to listen to a good piece of training or a good interview. So I therefore made the decision with my podcasts that number one, I wanted my podcast to be free so that everyone could listen to it. And number two, that I wasn't going to fund it through all these annoying and irrelevant adverts and commercials. Therefore, if you want to support the podcast and support all the things that I put out there for free, whether it be here on the podcast, my YouTube channel, other areas on social media, then buying a book is going to enable and help that process. So this is what we call a win-win scenario. By buying the book, you help to support my work and all the free stuff that I put out there, and you also get a really transformational book that's going to help you make those changes that you really want in your life. So if you feel you're someone who's at that crossroads in life, you're looking for a new direction, you're looking for a fresh start, then make sure you get this book. Author Your Life, Become the Hero of Your Story is available on Amazon in ebook, paperback, and audiobook. Whatever your preferred medium, it's there for you to go get right now. Trying to find our purpose is one of the biggest questions that we face for ourselves in our lives, and it's certainly a question that I receive so much in my role. My students, my clients ask me, David, how do I find my purpose? What is my purpose? I don't know my purpose. I've been searching my whole life for my purpose. I need to know what it is. Now, I don't think that this question of purpose needs to be nearly as hard as we sometimes make it out to be, and we sometimes create for ourselves, that we're lost, that we're scattered, that we don't have direction. I think that all of us know what our purpose is, or know the direction that our purpose should be in. And I think that along the way, we forget it. We lose our way, we lose our path, we lose our connection with ourselves. And what I'd like to talk to you about in today's episode is how to reconnect with that purpose that you already have within you, to connect with the answer and the direction that you already have within you. And the way that we can do this is I want you to go back to some of your earliest memories at school. And I'd like you to remember the time when the teacher asked you, what do you want to be when you grow up? Now, if you remember being at that age, your peers, and yourself included, I'm sure, give outlandish, ridiculous answers. Because everyone at that age, what do they want to be? They say, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a rally driver. I want to be a cowboy. I want to be a princess. They give ridiculous answers that either aren't even real jobs or are highly unrealistic jobs to be able to get into. Because when you're 5 or 6 years old, you don't know anything about real jobs. You don't know that you can be a project manager. You don't know that you can be a civil engineer. You don't know that you can be a property solicitor. You don't know about any of these real jobs. You only know about the roles, about the careers, or about the pastimes that really capture your interest and your engagement. Now, when I start to phrase this story and phrase this recollection, what I don't want you to think is, well, when I was 5 years old, I wanted to be an astronaut, so maybe my purpose in life is to be an astronaut and I need to get onto astronaut training. The likelihood is, if you're watching this video, it's too late for you. you can't be an astronaut. Only a limited number of people can even be astronauts in the first place, and that is a path that needs to be decided for you early on. There is a lot of training, and there's a direct path and a very particular path as to how you become an astronaut. And the likelihood is you've missed your chance. You're not going to be an astronaut. Now, the purpose of this exercise and the purpose of this reflection is not to say, well, I wanted to be an astronaut at 5, so that means I should be an astronaut now. The purpose of this exercise is to go back to that age and think, why did I want to be an astronaut? What captured me about being an astronaut? What resonated with me about being an astronaut? And that is what we're looking for. We're not chasing the job role, we're chasing the feeling. Because at that age, I believe that we are the most emotionally connected with ourselves that we ever are in our lives. Because at that age, we haven't had all of the scripts and conditioning and stories dumped on top of us, determining who we should be, how we should feel, what we should do in our lives. We still have a very raw and authentic connection to who we are as an individual. And I want to go back to that authentic connection. Because at 5 years old, you don't know about real jobs, but you know what awakens that passion, that enthusiasm, that heart within you. And I want you to return back to that feeling and say, well, why did I get captured by that particular job role when I was young? Whatever it might have been. It might have been the astronaut, it might have been the rally driver. Maybe you have wanted to be a property solicitor ever since you were 5 years old. Think about why that occurred for you. What was the emotion behind it? Maybe you read a book about astronauts and you were captured by astronauts because it was a sense of adventure, of exploring new frontiers. Maybe when you were young, you were watching a television show about cowboys and it captured your sense of justice, of bravery. I want you to return to those feelings. And the crux of this exercise is to think how you can activate that feeling again, right here where you are now. Because that feeling, that impulse, that enthusiasm inside of you, it can be activated by more than one thing. There's more ways to have a sense of adventure and exploring new frontiers than being an astronaut. There's more ways to stimulate justice and bravery than being a cowboy. So I want you to think, what can activate those feelings and emotions for you? One of the most common phrases that we hear in the world nowadays is to follow your passion. It's the theme of basically every commencement speech, every motivational speech, every viral YouTube video. It's all talking about following your passion. Now, passion is great, but passion, I feel, is a fleeting emotion. You feel passion when you make love with someone. You feel passion when you watch your sports team win. You feel passion when you watch someone you care for being harmed or is experiencing some difficulty and some pain in their lives. Passion is good, but passion is often there and lost again. What we're looking for is not to follow your passion, we're looking to follow your enthusiasm. The Greeks invented enthusiasm. I don't know if you can invent enthusiasm, but certainly they invented the word for enthusiasm. The root word of enthusiasm comes from the Greek entheos, the God within. When you are activating your enthusiasm, you are activating the God within. When you are activating your enthusiasm, you're activating this relentless, boundless energy, this all-encompassing feeling of doing something and being engaged with something. That's the feeling that we're going for. We don't want the fleeting passion of a sports victory. We don't want the fleeting passion of lovemaking. We want the boundless enthusiasm of doing something that really connects with you and resonates with you. And that, my friends, is your purpose. Your purpose is your enthusiasm. And you can find that enthusiasm by going back to that 5-year-old, reconnecting with yourself, reconnecting with that enthusiasm in your heart, working out, what was it that activated that enthusiasm for me? What do I get enthusiastic about? And then, my friends, go out there and do that thing. Do what makes you enthusiastic. Do what activates that feeling within you. And that is your purpose. And that is why purpose does not need to be nearly as complicated as we make it out to be. Find that thing that activates that enthusiasm for you and start to build your purpose from there. So folks, I hope you've enjoyed this episode today. I hope you continue to enjoy and watch and listen in the future. Until next time, remember that you are the author of your life. You hold the pen and you can write whatever script you want for yourself. I'll speak to you soon. David. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd appreciate it hugely if you could head over to iTunes and leave a rating and review for the podcast. With your review, please be as honest and detailed as you can be. Because with honest and detailed feedback, that helps me to adapt and grow this podcast to most serve you, the listener. Also, if you enjoyed this episode, then make sure you subscribe to the podcast. That way you aren't going to miss any of the future episodes that we've got lined up for you. Until next time, remember that you are the author of your life. You hold the pen, and you can write whatever script you want for yourself. So go out today and write yourself a beautiful story.